Everyone, this is the third chapter of History and Empire across three continents. And in this video, we will discuss the first topic of the chapter, the early empire. So let us start the chapter with the discussion of sources of information. Roman historians have a rich collection of sources to go on, which we can broadly divide into three groups: texts, documents, and material remains. Textual sources include histories of the period written by contemporaries. Documentary sources include mainly inscriptions and papyri. Material remains include a very wide assortment of items that mainly archaeologists discover. For example, buildings, monuments, and other kind of structures, pottery, coins, mosaics, even entire landscapes. In this chapter, we will discuss about two powerful empires ruled over most of Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East in the period between the birth of Christ and the early part of the 7th century. The two empires were Rome and Iran. The Romans and Iranians were rivals and fought against each other for much of their history. Their empires lay next to each other, separated only by a narrow strip of land that ran along the river Euphrates. The continents of Europe and Africa are separated by a sea that stretches all the way from Spain in the west to Syria in the east. This sea is called the Mediterranean, and it was the heart of Rome's empire. Rome dominated the Mediterranean and all the regions around that sea in both directions, north as well as south. To the north, the boundaries of the empire were formed by two great rivers, the Rhine and the Danube. To south, by the huge expanse of desert called the Sahara. This vast stretch of territory was the Roman Empire. Iran controlled the whole area south of the Caspian Sea down to eastern Arabia and sometimes large parts of Afghanistan as well. The early empire. The Roman Empire can broadly be divided into two phases, early and late. In other words, the whole period down to the main part of the 3rd century can be called the early empire, and the period after that the late empire. Now we will be discussing the difference between Roman and Iranian empires. Empire, sorry. A major difference between the two superpowers and their respective empires was that the Roman Empire was culturally much more diverse than the Iran. The Parthians and the later Sasanians, the dynasties that ruled Iran in this period, ruled over a population that was largely Iranian. The Roman Empire, by contrast, was a mosaic of territories and cultures that were chiefly bounded together by a common system of government. Many languages were spoken in the empire, but for the purposes of administration, Latin and Greek were the most widely used, indeed, the only language. The upper classes of the East spoke and wrote in Greek, those of the West in Latin, and the boundary between these broad language area ran somewhere across the middle of the Mediterranean between the African provinces of Tripolitania and Cyrenaica. Unlike the army of its rival in the Persian Empire, which was a conscripted or forcibly recruited army, the Romans had a paid professional army where soldiers had to put in a minimum of 25 years services. All those who lived in the empire were subjects of a single ruler, the emperor, regardless of where they lived and what language they spoke. The regime established by Augustus, the first emperor in 27 BCE, was called the Principate. Although Augustus was the sole ruler and the only real source of authority, the fiction was kept alive that he was actually only the leading citizen. The Senate, the body which had controlled Rome earlier when it was a republic. The Senate had existed in Rome for centuries and had been and remained a body representing the aristocracy, that is, the wealthiest family of Roman and later Italian descent, mainly landowners. Most of the Roman histories were written by people from a senatorial background. Emperors were judged by how they behaved towards the Senate. The Romans had a paid professional army where soldiers had to put in a minimum of 25 years service. The army was the largest single organized body in the empire, and it certainly had the power to determine the fate of emperors. The soldiers would constantly agitate for better wages and service conditions. The Senate hated and feared the army because it was a source of often unpredictable violence. To sum up, the emperor, the aristocracy, and the army were the three main players in the political history of the empire. Warfare was also much less common in the first 2 centuries. The empire inherited by Tiberius from Augustus was already so vast that further expansion was felt to be very unnecessary. The gradual extension of Roman direct rule was accomplished by absorbing a whole series of dependent kingdoms into Roman provincial territory. Except for Italy, which was not considered a province in these centuries, all the territories of the empire were organized into provinces and subject to taxation. The great urban centers were the true bedrock of the imperial system. It was through the cities that government was able to tax the provincial countrysides, which generated much of the wealth of the empire. One of the most interesting aspects of Roman political history is the dramatic shift in power between Italy and the provinces. Throughout the second and third centuries, it was the provincial upper classes supplied most of the cadre that governed the provinces and commanded the armies. New elite of administrators and military commanders who became more powerful than the senatorial class because they had the backing of the emperors. In the late 1st, 2nd, and early 3rd centuries, the army and administration were increasingly drawn from the provinces as citizenship spread to these regions and was no longer confined to Italy. But individuals of Italian origin continued to dominate the Senate at least till the 3rd century. A city in the Roman was an urban center with its own magistrates, city council, and a territory containing villages which were under its jurisdiction. Villages could be upgraded to the status of cities and vice versa. One crucial advantage of living in a city was simply that it might be better provided for during food shortages and even famines than the countryside. Public baths were a striking feature of Roman urban life, and urban population also enjoyed a much higher level of entertainment. For today, this much. Thank you.